William Eklund gets paid, and the Sharks free agency starts out pretty quiet.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do, just follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be discussing the start of free agency as William Eklund gets an extension. Quiet start to free agency before Mike Grier makes a flurry of moves. And now what? As the Sharks are still under the salary cap after the first day of free agency. So let's start with the most exciting thing, and that would be our Swedish son, William Eklund, signing a 3-year extension at $5.6 million AAV. So Eklund, who is entering the last year of his ELC, so this new contract will not kick in until the 2026-2027 season for Eklund. So he signs a 3-year deal at 5.6. This will go through the 28-29 season, and he will be an RFA after that. So the San Jose Sharks will still hold his rights after this contract is up. So it's basically a bridge contract, which I personally, not the biggest fan of bridge contracts, but I understand it. Like, I get it. Especially after hearing Eklund talk, right? And after hearing Mike Grier, both of these people talk, you feel like this was kind of the best way for kind of both parties to be happy here, right? And Grier mentioned that they kind of went through all scenarios, right? Signing, working on a long-term extension, working on a shorter-term extension, and kind of fell into this 3-year deal at $5.6 million. Personally, again, I would have been pushing for a longer extension, something of the 7 to 8 year variety, and just kind of pay Eklund now, because especially the way the cap is going up. But I understand it, especially from William Eklund's perspective, right, where you're seeing the cap go up, and you're hoping in that 29-30 season, the Sharks are being competitive. You're putting up some of your best numbers. You're in the prime of your career. You can then try to, secure the bag, as the kids say. From the Sharks' perspective, right, if you're still trying, and Grier kind of said it, right, like with this, it allows Eklund to kind of get paid now, and they can kind of see where he fits in as they continue through their rebuild, right? And especially as guys like Chernyshov and Musty and Haltonen and Michael Misa and whomever else kind of enters the fray here, kind of see where everybody stacks up. And I think, for the Sharks, maybe not overcommitting too soon. Again, I'm very much in the just pay. If you feel like you've established, you found a core player, and I think William Eklund is a core player, just pay them and be done with it, because it most of the time is going to work out pretty well for you in the long run. Yes, there are exceptions where, guys just, they have those 1-year wonders and things kind of fall apart. But I think what we've seen from Eklund and the way he has progressively gotten better over the last 2 years, he's a 58-point player last year, was second on the team in points. Like, I think it's fair to say, like, Eklund is well on his way to being the type of player that you want on a championship caliber team. So interesting though, like the actual number at 5.6, which I think is a very fair number, especially when you look at contracts, especially in that 2021 class, right? Kind of looking at some of the other forwards who got paid right away. You have Owen Power, the defenseman, who was the first overall pick, and he got the big time contract right away. And then Matty Beniers, after his ELC, he signed a 7-year deal at 7.1. And again, the Sharks are signing, at 5.6, like, with the hope for Eklund to kind of get back into the pool a little bit quicker, or try to get back into the pool again to get that money again. So you look at, like Kent Johnson signed a really, really small deal. Mason McTavish signed a 2-year deal, a 2-year deal he's due for a new deal. Sorry, excuse me. After his ELC is over. So yeah, he's due for a new deal. And I'm curious to see how the Ducks handle this, if they try to kind of go go big money right away, or if they try to play the game, especially because they have a ton of cap space. But McTavish has posted pretty similar numbers to William Eklund. And maybe they, like, you could see they having similar type of contracts between the two. I think another one to really keep, Matt Coronado, who was taken a little bit later in that draft as the 13th pick overall, definitely hasn't put up the same production that Eklund has put up. He did have 47 points last year, including 24 goals, but just had that one kind of season for the Calgary Flames, and they went ahead and they signed him to a 7-year deal at $6.5 million. So, yes, I think Eklund's numbers comes in a little bit lower, but again, for that 3 years, and Eklund, this is an opportunity for him to, again, kind of get paid much later. You did also have, which I thought was really interesting, getting the Logan Stankoven, who is also in that draft, deal at 8 years at $6 million, which feels like it's going to be a steal for the Carolina Hurricanes, because they're the Carolina Hurricanes, right? But yeah, like, that one definitely feels like it's going to be a potential steal for them, and they're probably going to be really happy with that number for a really long time, and we're all going to be like, how did they get away with this? But and then of course you have the Wyatt Johnston one, who got much more prolific scorer, right? Johnston, who's got has a ton of goals already in his NHL career, including 2 30-goal seasons, almost has 100 goals already. He is going to be starting a 5-year deal at $8.4 million. And so you can definitely see, like, with that goal scoring, why he was kind of given that type of deal. So I think in the end, both parties will be happy with this extension. Like I said, I'm a little disappointed that it isn't longer, but I'm more than happy to have William Eklund, with the Sharks for at least the next 4 years here now. And I think this is going to be one of those things where, like I said, 3 years from now, we're looking at a potential long-term Eklund extension, especially now with the new CBA, where you can only sign with the new CBA, right, 6-year contracts or 7 years if it's your own guy. I think that also maybe played a hand into it, right, where if Eklund, by the time this deal's done, he'll be 25 going on to 26, and then you sign him to a 7-year extension, he'll be 32 basically, right? When that contract expires. And it feels like that might be the, like, okay, this is paying you through your peak years, like through your years, and then you can kind of go on to smaller, kind of doing the 3-4 year deal contracts afterwards. And hopefully William Eklund spends his entire career in San Jose, and eventually gets his number in the rafters and all that fun stuff. But really happy for William, like, especially as kind of the first guy as part of this new rebuild. I mean, you look at the Sharks forward group, and William Eklund has been here the longest, which is absolutely insane. William Eklund has the most established Sharks forward, with Logan Couture not playing anymore. I know Barclay Goodrow has some years prior, but, like, William Eklund is now the, like, quote unquote longest tenured San Jose Shark forward as he enters his 3rd season with the team. So 3rd full season with the team. Absolutely insane. Anyway, congrats to William Eklund. Super happy for Mama Eklund. What a weekend for our legend, Mia. One son gets drafted in the 1st round, the other one gets paid. Like, Mama is on cloud 9 right now, I'm sure. So congrats to Mia, you absolute legend. Anyway, we're going to switch over to the newest San Jose Sharks, talk about a trade as well. as the Sharks find their backup goalie for Askarov. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. Ever wish manage your money felt easier with Monarch Money? It can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning for a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. The nice thing about it too is if you and your partner, maybe you guys have separate accounts, but then also have a shared account, it's really easy for you to track both your separate accounts and your shared account. That way you're continually working towards a goal together. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. All right. Before we continue, of course, want to thank you for making a Locked On Sharks your first listen. Even though the draft is over and the first wave of free agency is over, that doesn't mean the content doesn't stop. As we have plenty of good stuff. We're going to start diving into the newest prospects, get to know them much, much better with deep dives, game tape, fun stuff, plenty of great stuff coming up there. And then we start gearing up for the new season, which, crazy enough, right around the corner. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Okay. I'm just going to say it. Really quiet free agency so far, and especially because we knew the Sharks have so much cap space, right? They entered the day with $44 million in cap space. They spent like $10 million today in cap space, still not at the cap floor, which we'll talk about more later. But three signings that they made. John Klingberg, the defenseman, so right-handed shot, signed him to a 1-year deal at $4 million. Also signed Adam Gaudette to a 2-year deal at $2 million. And then they signed Philipp Kurashev to a 1-year deal at $1.2 million. Kurashev also an RFA because of his age. So fun. That's like the Sharks do have his rights still because of his age. But let's start with we'll start with the Klingberg one, because I think the more intriguing, like they all have intriguing aspects, and we're going to spend more time later this week kind of digging into these guys a little bit more and like kind of getting to know their profiles and everything like that a little bit more. But let's start with Klingberg, who is a guy I've a couple years ago on this very show kind of made the case that the San Jose Sharks should sign, and especially as a kind of buy low opportunity for San Jose, or for someone to run the power play, carry the puck. And those were all things that Mike Grier pointed to with Klingberg and his ability to do and be help out the San Jose Sharks. The thing though with Klingberg is it's about health, and he has struggled to stay healthy, especially the last 2 years. I know he's had a hip injury that really limited him, but 23-24, he played 14 games for the Maple Leafs. We had 5 points in those 14 games. And then this year he didn't get back until the end of the season, where he got 11 games for the Oilers. He did have a goal and 3 assists in that time. In the playoffs, he played 19 playoff games for the Oilers, and only had 4 points, but wasn't getting a ton of, like, he's not getting the same opportunities, especially with Nurse and Bouchard, et cetera, et cetera. Like, he was going to be more of a kind of bottom pairing type of player for them. But I think this is a worthy reclamation project for you, right? Of a guy who has before been very good, at least at driving offense and carrying the puck and doing the things that the Sharks blue line needs help with. And it costs you 1 year at $4 million. And if it doesn't work out, oh, well, it doesn't work out. And then if it works out, you can trade him at the trade deadline or whatever. Like it gives you whatever you want to do with him. So I do like, I think this one, especially if you struck out elsewhere, I think is a very low risk, high reward type of signing for the San Jose Sharks. Actually, I think all three of these are very low risk, high reward in different degrees. Gaudette is a interesting player. Again, 2 years at $2 million, 28 years old, right-handed shot, center wing flexibility. Actually, both Gaudette and Kurashev center wing flexibility. Kurashev, I think, is going to be a player. It sounds from Grier like guy who's going to be playing in all situations for the Sharks, right? Special teams, power play, 5-on-5. It'd be funny if they was like, no, he's just going to play special teams. We're not going to see him on 5-on-5. That would be absolutely hilarious. But Gaudette, guy who kind of bounced around a little bit with the Canucks and the Blackhawks and the Sens and the Blues and then back to the Sens. But this year really broke out for the Senators. 81 games, had 19 goals and 26 points. So definitely the finally hit the back of the net for them. I did have a season, the 21-20 season with the Canucks, where he had 12 goals in 59 games, but has been a guy who's struggled to kind of maintain NHL, like kind of an NHL job. I assume with the Sharks, he will probably maintain an NHL job just because of everybody else they have with him. But I think this is a perfect kind of bridge type of player. You know, as a 6'1", 187-pound forward who can do a little bit of everything. Had his best year for production last year on a Sens team, which I don't think he's going to pop in, 19, 20 goals for the Sharks. But I think, if he's getting solid middle six play time, I think you can, probably pencil in 10 to 15 goals for him. And again, just kind of a placeholder as you wait for your Musties and your Chernyshovs, et cetera, et cetera. And I think a guy, like I said, who's going to be able to play in all situations for you. And then the other signing, Philipp Kurashev. So his 1-year deal at 1.2. Again, that center wing flexibility for you. 6 foot, 190 pounds. Played with the Chicago Blackhawks for the past few seasons. Last year, not the most productive season. He had 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points in 51 games. But if you go back to the 23-24 season, yes, that Blackhawks team was also abysmal, just like the Sharks. He still produced. Yes, he was also playing way more minutes, much higher in the lineup. But he had 18 goals, 36 assists for 54 points in 75 games. Playing, top 6 minutes with like guys like Connor Bedard. Grier was asked why he thought his production went down this year. And he kind of noted his, as Chicago brought people in, he kind of lost his role with the Blackhawks. And I feel like with the Sharks, he's going to have an opportunity to play kind of those top 6 minutes, or maybe at least middle 6 and solid minutes, where you might be able to get some of that, kind of recapture some of that production with him. So we're going to dig in deeper into these guys a little bit more later this week. But right now we're just kind of trying to get to know everybody a little bit quickly here. So, and then finally, the Sharks made a trade for Alex Nedeljkovic, practicing Alex Nedeljkovic from the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is an option that we looked at when we talked about the goalies earlier this summer. And I know a lot of people kind of liked him as a potential option. So the Sharks sent a 3rd-round pick in 2028, which is, I think it's hilarious that the Sharks continually just trade away 3rd-round picks because the Sharks just can never find a good player in the 3rd round. So they just traded away. They just continually trade away 3rd-round picks, which I think is hilarious. Don't believe me, go look at every 3rd-round pick the Sharks have drafted. Like Daniel Gushin might be the best one. And he's played, a handful of NHL games. It's really bad. They, for some reason, the 3rd round is just like the bugaboo for the Sharks. Anyway, Nedeljkovic, I think, is a great backup for Askarov. A guy who former Calder Trophy finalist with the Carolina Hurricanes. It's kind of bounced around a little bit, right? He's played on some bad teams as well. Look at the Penguins last year. And while, kind of the counting stats or whatever aren't super great for Nedeljkovic, I think it's like a 3.14 or 3.12 goals against, and then a 894 save percentage, like 3.12. Yep. Not the greatest there, but goals saved above expected was like a -1, while the rest of the Penguins goalies were like a -5. And, this was in 38 appearances. I think Nedeljkovic, he's going to be one of those guys who can kind of hang in there for you, which is what you want, right? And it's a 1-year deal at $2.5 million. And he's young enough at 29 where if he plays well and him and Askey get along really well, you could just resign him easily. Or if he plays well and it feels like maybe it's not a long-term fit, you can trade him because everybody's always looking for a backup goalie at the trade deadline. Like, it does give you some options with him. So I think, again, in a goalie market that dried up very quickly, especially with Jake Allen going back to New Jersey, and everybody just kind of was like, I think you could have done a lot worse than Nedeljkovic. And a third-round pick in 2028, like if Mike Grier really wants a third-round pick in 2028, he can easily kind of manufacture one at some point here. So I'm not worried about the pick. That's a pick for, 3 drafts from 26, 27. That's a pick from 3 drafts from now. I don't really care about that pick. And again, I think by then, like, it's very easy to manufacture one. So where does this leave the Sharks as they still have $10 million to spend just to hit the floor? We'll get to that here in just 1 second. All right, before we finish up, of course want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast. There's no off season. We're bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter most with local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcast. Okay. What's left? So again, we know the Sharks right now, as we were talking, almost 9 p.m. They have $61 million of projected cap hit. And yes, that is with Logan Couture's $8 million IR, and like the buyouts and everything that retained buyouts. It's also nice to see just 2 buyouts now instead of the 3 with Brent Burns. So anyway, so all those are still there, are gone, right, or whatever. So they still have about $10 million because the cap floor is 10.6. So we'll say they're at 61 million right now. So we'll just say $10 million to kind of make it even. What do they do? Still have some options, I think, especially if you look at the free agent. And Ehlers, I don't think is coming here, right? It sounds like he's going to be making his decision here one day. I would assume he probably heads to a team that is ready to compete. Pew Suter, sounds like the Sharks not interested. At least that's what Shang Peng of San Jose Hockey Now reported. Matt Grzelcyk, I think, is a guy who I would really be interested in, especially if you want to improve the defense. And Grier said, we still want to try to improve the defense. And his words, not mine. We want someone who can defend and someone who can get the puck up to the forwards. And I think Grzelcyk is your guy here. If that, and yes, I know he's left-handed. Don't care. Like right now, the Sharks just need players. And Grzelcyk, I don't think it's going to cost you too much. I think his projection was like 3 years at like $4 million or something like that. Like that, again, the money doesn't matter for the Sharks. Like the money literally doesn't matter because you have so much of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a name that the Sharks pursue here. And again, especially if that is that's what you're trying to do. I know there's like Brent Burns out there, Dmitry Orlov, who I think might be kind of hitting the cliff here as well. So then there's some, some kind of the non-qualified RFAs who are now available and some older guys and stuff like that. But I do, maybe the Sharks bring back Luke Cunnin, I don't know. But if we know the Sharks want to still continue to try to improve the defense, I think Grzelcyk among free agents is your guy. I do think, though, Grier's got something up his sleeve. Like, I honestly do. And I'm not just trying to, like, apologize for it. Because, like, I'm not going to lie. Like, this draft class right now, or this free agency class, really disappointing, especially with all the cap space you have. And you heard Grier say, like, we want to improve, right? And you look at the guys they brought in, and you can honestly say, like, do you think the Sharks improved? Maybe. I know you're banking on a lot of internal growth, et cetera, but it's not the most sexy, exciting class. I don't know why. I call it a gut feeling or whatever it is. I think there's a trade. I think Grier makes a trade to try to go prize someone, especially in the blue line, try to go prize someone out from somewhere else. And whether it's Bo Byram or one of the New Jersey guys, right? Or you look at the Rangers now who have a plethora of defensemen, it might be need to move off of somebody. Or you look at the Kings who just brought in our old friend Cody Ceci. That Cody Ceci deal is definitely a deal. You look at places like that, and we'll dive into it a little bit more, but I have a gut feeling that Grier isn't done. And I do think he tries to pull something off big here, right? We saw last year with Askarov. We know Grier not afraid to make a trade. The Sharks, massive prospect pool. They have 2 number ones next year, 2 number twos as well. Like, they have assets to do stuff. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks try to pull something off here because I don't think you can walk it back like this and be like, okay, guys, throw in the skates, let's roll out there and see if we can get any better. I don't think that's I think you need to continue to try to inject some more talent. So if Grier can't, you are going to be looking at IR contracts, high carry price, who the Sharks can acquire later this summer as you get closer to the start of training camp. But it's like he himself said, like, it's day one of free agency. This isn't a finished roster. Like, this is day one. There's still plenty of time. Like, training camp doesn't start till beginning of September. Like, you got 2 months basically to do stuff. So, so let's not panic yet. This is me telling myself, let's not panic yet. But yeah, I think Grier, I think he's got something up his sleeve. I don't know why. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow. Most likely, like I said, we'll be digging into the free agents a little bit deeper. We'll kind of get to know them, kind of look at what they do well, like all that fun stuff. So make sure you follow along wherever you get podcasts, and of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Till tomorrow. Bye, friends.